Oh, I'm back. It's about to get steamy.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to XOXO, the PlayStation. This is a brand new kind of video series where I'm starting up and kind of talk about just PlayStation in general and whatnot. Previously, me and my buddy Kyle, we had a channel called Wayho Gaming where we did a lot of random videos, a lot of playthroughs, a lot of things like that. But really, for me, I really started to get more of a vested interest in discussing games, especially like journalistic titles and things like that. And I found a very heavy, intriguing, a rising interest within me towards this kind of field because it is a dying art to have like a good critique of a game and have a good analysis of a game. And I feel like with how long I've had an association with games, I have some type of grounds to talk about games on at least somewhat of a critical standpoint. Maybe not necessarily the journalistic standpoint of guys like Colin Moriarty or Greg Miller, mainly because they have been doing it for so long and they have so much under the belt. But they all started somewhere, and this is kind of a hobby that I personally ask my friends about and try and talk to them about and try and figure out, like, why do games go this way? Why do things happen this way? What studios are doing what? And it's not just PlayStation, it's in general, but it's something that I've been thinking about more and more lately, that it feels like that kind of topic isn't discussed enough. And it's not discussed enough on a real level when a game flops, the reasons why, and really bold statements of, this studio fucked up. There's very few people that do that anymore. Jim Sterling is probably one of them, but most of the review sites I've seen anymore, really, even when a game is pretty bad, they give a lot of praise to it in some regard. And I feel like some games just aren't worth that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and try and make this like a complete review channel. I don't want to do that. I want to discuss a lot of things. But that is one of the things that really kind of drove me to want to do this kind of channel, this kind of video series, is to discuss games. And what better way than to talk about PlayStation, right? I mean, because that is my favorite, brand of games and whatnot. And that's my favorite brand of titles and whatnot. So, with that all said and done, let's get right into the business. For some reason, my door likes to keep rattling. And I'm not going to try and edit these too much, mainly because, I don't know, I kind of like the idea of an unfiltered cut. But, that said, I'm willing to edit more, probably pending certain things that come up and whatnot. And, pending your guys' reactions. But anyway, let's dive into it. So, this is the first episode I'm ever doing, and I have an idea of what I'm going to do for episode 2 and 3. Kind of a spoiler alert, I will be talking about Sucker Punch. It's going to be kind of a 2-part episode where I talk at length. The first part's going to be about the history and what Sucker Punch has done, and kind of where they've been. And then the second episode will be what they're learning from the industry and where they're going. So I'm really excited about recording those and uploading those on Wednesday and Friday. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. I get to do a little bit of digging, a little bit of research, and it's just going to be kind of like a fun little, like almost like a gaming research paper. But with this episode, and we're already almost 4 minutes in. Yeah, we're at 4 minutes. The topic of the day is really just, I want to kind of keep Mondays in a general topic. So it's a general topic of gaming. So a lot has happened in the last 6 months. A lot of great games. A couple of games that didn't really turn out. A console release. I mean, a lot's happened in the world of gaming, and the majority of it's been pretty damn good. So first off, Resident Evil 7 actually lived up to the hype. It is seen as the resurrection, if you will, of the Resident Evil franchise in a way. And it is seen as, in some camps, as the rebirthing and the reintroduction of the series back into acclaim. And I think it ended up on Metacritic. I don't want to say it was at 80, but it was nearby 80 on Metacritic, which granted, Metacritic isn't the best aggregated score site in the world. It's just it's a barometer for the average score between all reviewers, and some reviewers honestly suck. Some, in the vein of like they might underscore way too many things that deserve a little bit more praise, or they overscore way too frequently. And I'm not gonna point any fingers. That's not the point of this. But what is the point for at least Resident Evil is that Resident Evil turned heads. That was one of the first big games of this year. And from last year, I mean, we had The Last Guardian, which critically did extremely well, along with Gravity Rush 2 and Yakuza 0. Both of those games middled in terms of commercial success, and The Last Guardian did too. All three of those games did very well critically, commercially. I think they didn't sell all that great, but I don't think that was really the point of those games, to sell well. But that said, I do hope they sold well enough to, have made a profit off of those games for Sony and for the studios that made them, like Sony Japan and whatnot. And personally, I want The Last Guardian to have sold decently well, because that is the last Team Eco game we're ever going to get. So I do hope that The Last Guardian sold well when it was all said and done. But I have no idea where the numbers are at. I could probably look those up and talk about them on next Monday's episode. I haven't really. I'm just doing this kind of on a whim. I wanted to do this just to do this and upload it today. And yeah. Anyway, be that as it may, 2016 ended on a pretty good note. Watch Dogs 2, Dishonored 2, Inside had come out roughly around that time. The Last Guardian, Final Fantasy 15. There were a significant amount of great games coming out at the end of 2016, and then 2017 kept that momentum going in a lot of ways. January had Resident Evil 7, it had Gravity Rush 2, it had Yakuza, and it had a lot of other games on a lot of different platforms. February has been the biggest punch out for a lot of people. I mean, I'm still catching up on my backlog, and then February comes along and goes, hey, here's Neo. I'm like, yeah, I love Neo. I love the betas. I'm excited about this. Yeah, I've been still piecing away at that piece of crap, because that game has, oh my god, it's good. But then Horizon came out not too long after that. And then the same month for Xbox, you had Halo Wars 2. And you had so many good games coming out in such a short time period of the shortest month in the year. You had 3 huge games come out. Halo Wars 2, Neo, and Horizon. And Nier coming out early March. And then you had Persona right in April. There's been so many phenomenal games, and then you combine out the fact that the Switch came out in March, and Legend of Zelda was and is incredible by all accounts. I personally can't give an actual score to it because I don't know how good it is. I personally haven't played it yet. I have not had the luxury or the luck to have someone in my friend group nearby where I live that owns a Wii U or a Switch. That said, I do plan on playing it as soon as I can. The moment I get the opportunity, I do want to play it. But it's just, I've never seen a game period like this where we've had 6 months straight from pretty much, I'd say, October, even maybe September, until April, where we've just had knockouts. And in general, there have been some meh games and not some great games. I mean, the Switch, pretty much beyond Zelda, all the other games are forgettable. I mean, I hate to sound like I'm talking smack about the Switch, but that's kind of the perception of it, at least for me, that the Switch just has Zelda right now. And that's okay for now, but it is going to need more. But that's a whole other topic for another time. If you guys want to hear me rant and rave about the Switch and my opinions on it, same thing with the Scorpio, more than willing to do that. But it's been crazy how 2017 has gone. And it's even crazier that we have a game like Mass Effect, which is a beloved game franchise, and typically usually really well done, has such a feedback as it's had. It was not received well at all. And I mean, you can blame it on whatever, but I mean, really, at the end of the day, it falls on BioWare for fucking up. BioWare, I don't know what the problem happened, but they should have never gotten rid of or allowed the previous, workers of Mass Effect to leave. And I guess that's kind of a bad way to put it. Not necessarily leave as much as just, you should not allow a franchise of that magnitude to be taken over by a brand new team that's never really done much. Because that's what happened. BioWare allowed Mass Effect to get taken over by a brand new team to take over Mass Effect, and that just blew my mind. And it showed how it looked, how it played, everything. And granted, I'm speaking from visuals from what I've seen of it. And for me, it didn't really impress all that much. But I did see qualities in it that made me go, they didn't completely fuck it. That's why it's got a 75 or 74 on Metacritic. That's why, for the most part, people are generally positive of it. But I do think that some reviewers needed to be harsher on this game. I think this game probably deserved a 6.5 or a 7. But from my viewpoint, from everything I know about, from everything I've seen of it, from everything I've researched of it, and from the actual reviews themselves that are saying, like, these are the problems, those problems seem like they're downplayed a lot in a lot of the reviews that I read. Or they're just completely ignored, or they're, like, vaguely mentioned and announced about it. That bothered me. And granted, that kind of is a widespread criticism for a lot of games. I give a lot of praise to the game that's playing in the background right now, Horizon. I love Horizon. I sincerely do. I think it is an incredible game, and it's proof in the pudding that a new IP can work in this climate of gaming. You don't have to make sequels all the fucking time. You can make a brand new IP, and it'll work. It'll sell. Because I think Horizon's at over 3 million now sold. I think it's more than that. I don't know for sure, but it's well over. It's profiting. That's definitely for sure, and it's on track to beat, potentially, if it keeps up the momentum it has, it could beat Uncharted 4 in terms of sales in 1 year for a Sony exclusive, which is at like 8.4 million units in a year. That's crazy. And Horizon's on track to do that. And I think it will do that because it has a planned DLC package to come out eventually, and that's... yeah. But, I mean... in general, we've been blessed with games lately. And, whether it is all these AAA games or just these indie games, we've had a lot of good indie games come out. And there's a lot on the way, too. Edith Finch and Little Nightmares. We've had Inside come out. We've had a lot of great games come out. Truly. And I'm happy that games are at where they are. And... a friend of mine told me recently, games are kind of at a weird point where there's so many great games and so many shitty ones at the same time. It's like, yeah, but that's always been how it is. It's just luckily for us now, we're having more good games right now than bad, thank God. And I'm just happy where we're at, games-wise. But there's a lot on the way. There's a significant amount on the way. Recently, Persona just came out along with MLB The Show. Both games I've been playing as much as I can whenever I'm out working and all that. They are amazing in their own ways. I love both of them immensely. You will probably seeing MLB The Show in the background, a few videos coming forward that I'm excited about. Sadly, I can't do that for Persona. I might try and do it, but I probably won't be able to because I don't have any external software to record outside my PlayStation, which sucks. But oh well. And as for the rest of gaming, besides just the Sony lineup, which is for the next year, which I'll talk about at another point, the Scorpio's coming out. And it's living up to a lot of people's technical expectations. Really, the only thing about the Scorpio is will it live up to the games, the exclusive library? And I think it might. I don't know yet. E3 is going to be a lot of proof in the pudding for the next 2-3 years. I think this E3 is going to be very telling for potentially how the rest of this console generation is going to develop in terms of some of the Sony first parties like Sucker Punch, what they're up to, and kind of give an idea of what the rest of the slate of games for the rest of the PS4 generation is going to be. Scorpio is going to be, same kind of thing, and then we're going to get an idea of what the Switch is going to be up to for the next year or so, and what Mario is going to look like. So I'm just really excited. And I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys for watching so much, sincerely. Hope you guys have a great day, and please tune back in for the next episode next.